There's a reason most people fear heights, because up there, mistakes are amplified, luck is fleeting, and every second tilts the scale between life and oblivion. Welcome to Tragic Echoes, where we tell the stories that haunt the sky. Before we begin, do the one simple thing that can make a difference. Hit subscribe now. If you won't, tell us in the comments why you'd rather miss the only warnings that might keep you alive. Number 5 takes us back to a dark night in World War II. A fall so improbable, it reads like myth. Number 5. Nicholas Alkemade, the man who fell 18,000 feet and lived. March 24, 1944. On the night of March 24, 1944, Flight Sergeant Nicholas Alkemade was the tail gunner aboard an RAF Lancaster bomber over Germany. The plane was hit, the fuselage was ablaze, and survival seemed impossible. Alkemade tried to get a parachute, but flames blocked him. His parachute, when he did reach it, was already burning. Faced with fire or the unknown, he made a choice none of us could imagine. He jumped. Alkemade plunged through the black sky, 18,000 feet of freefall. Yet when he hit the ground, he was alive. How? Trees, snow, a miracle of luck and physics, dense pine branches and a soft snowpack broke his fall, turning a fatal drop into a sprained leg and a story that would ripple through decades. He was captured by German forces who had first doubted his tale, until they inspected the wreckage and found evidence that matched his claims. A certificate was even issued confirming his survival. What does his story teach us? That sometimes survival is the result of impossible variables lining up, and that miracle is a word we use when the odds are stacked against us. Next up is a collision that looks like a scene from a disaster film, but it's unbearably real. Number 4. Jeb Corliss, Table Mountain Impact and Survival, January 16, 2012. Professional wingsuit and base flyer Jeb Corliss has pushed the limits of human flight for a living. On January 16, 2012, he attempted a proximity flight off Table Mountain in Cape Town, South Africa, a run he'd done many times. But that day, he clipped a granite ledge at high speed. Corliss was traveling around 120 miles per hour when his foot struck the cliff face. The impact tore into his legs and threw him pendulum-like against the rock. Video from his helmet shows the moment of contact, sudden, brutal, and then the furious struggle to recover in midair. He tumbled, he craned, and somehow, against all expectation, he deployed a parachute and cleared additional ledges before hitting the ground. Corliss broke both ankles, shattered bones, and required reconstructive surgery. Doctors told him he had no right to be alive. He recovered and returned to flying, but the footage and the scars remain, a reminder that at terminal velocity, a single miscalculation can become permanent. If you're watching and you still think the sky is purely beautiful, listen closely. The next story will remind you how fragile that illusion is.
3. 2 skydiving planes collide. Lake Superior, Wisconsin, November 2013. On a clear evening over Lake Superior in November 2013, 2 small Cessna aircraft carrying skydivers were staging a routine formation. There were 9 jumpers and 2 pilots between the planes. At altitude, a fatal error in spacing, a misjudged climb, brought the aircraft together. Witness accounts and helmet cameras recorded a terrifying scene. The plane struck, metal ripped, and flames erupted. Skydivers had mere seconds. Some leapt from the wings as the planes broke apart. Others jumped into a sky suddenly filled with wreckage and smoke. It should have been a massacre. Instead, it became a miracle of training, instinct, and quick reflexes. All 11 people, both pilots and 9 skydivers, survived. Many were injured, some badly, but they walked away. Video of the free fall through debris went viral. People falling past shards of fuselage, opening chutes, and finding the sky's mercy in midair. That day, the world watched and wondered how close survival came to impossible, and how much depends on discipline, emergency drills, and a sliver of fortune. Listen, if you're getting value from these cautionary tales, do the smallest thing that actually helps: subscribe. If you won't, explain why in the comments, and let us know what you think is more important than knowledge that might save a life. Our next story moves from open sky to a river that swallowed hope. 2. East River Helicopter Crash, New York City, March 11, 2018. On March 11, 2018, a sightseeing helicopter operating over Manhattan went down in the East River. The flight, operated by Liberty Helicopters and Fly NY, was offering aerial photography with doors off the aircraft, a popular thrill. At 7:08 p.m., the pilot reported engine trouble. The helicopter descended and struck the water. It flipped and began to sink. Onlookers recorded the scene as rescue teams raced to the spot, but the horror was immediate. 5 passengers drowned beneath the surface. Only the pilot escaped with minor injuries. Investigators later found multiple safety failures. A tethering harness used for the photo flights had snagged controls, and emergency flotation devices were not properly deployed. The NTSB called the flight a death trap given the inadequate restraints and other regulatory oversights. The city's skyline, usually a postcard of wonder, became the backdrop to a preventable tragedy. Families sued, regulators tightened rules, and the aviation community was left to reckon with the cost of cutting corners in thrill-seeking tourism. Finally, we close with a man who clung to life literally with his fingers. Chris Gursky, the hang glider passenger who was not buckled in. Interlaken, Switzerland, 2018. In October 2018, tourists from Florida took a scenic hang gliding flight over Switzerland's alpine valleys. Chris Gursky and his wife expected a postcard memory. Instead, they faced a nightmare. The instructor launched, the glider lifted, and as they glided from the ridge, the passenger realized he had not been attached to the pilot by the harness. For more than 2 minutes, the two of them rode the thermals with one human hand keeping them together. They searched for a landing spot. The pilot tried to secure the harness midair. Gursky's fingers cramped. He sustained a fractured wrist and torn muscles on impact, injuries requiring surgery and months of recovery. But he survived. When the video hit the internet, it became a viral lesson in complacency. Regulations were checked. Operators reviewed safety briefings. The message was clear. The smallest oversight, a missed buckle, a skipped check, can become the difference between a memory and a funeral. Each of these 5 stories is different. A wartime miracle, a wingsuit collision, a mid-air catastrophe, a sightseeing flight gone deadly, and a 2-minute struggle against gravity. But they all share one brutal truth: the sky gives no second chances. If you walk away with anything from this episode, let it be this: training matters, preparation saves lives, and arrogance kills. We're tragic echoes. We tell the stories others forget until history screams them back into memory. If you want more of this, the raw, the real, and the lesson heavy, hit subscribe now. And if you won't subscribe, leave a comment explaining why you'd rather stay uninformed. We'll read them. Thank you for watching. Stay safe up there, and remember, not every flight has a landing.